Welcome into this latest edition of Making the Leap. This is an episode that is sort of a revisit of a previous episode when we talked about the Herzog Foundation, our underwriters, our sponsors, the folks that make this podcast possible. They were still very much in the infancy of the physical structure. And in fact, we're now broadcasting from the brand new facility that they've built exclusively for this show.
Which is so amazing.
And we brought back the president of the foundation to talk about the updates and this place and all that's coming up.
And what is, yes, all the things that are coming. I think that's what excites all of us the most.
Darrell Jones is back with us, the president of the Herzog Foundation. Great to be back with you, Darrell.
It is good to be with the Stegals. We love hanging out with you two.
Thank you.
Tammy and I have a ball with you guys. I know it. It's true. It's some of the funnest places.
I agree.
So we have been, since this show, we have been here a couple of times for open houses. This is the first one we've recorded in this building, in this room.
I love it.
Now, I know for people listening, and maybe even watching, they can't really see how beautiful this place is. But can you talk just a little bit about what went into getting this place open and ready to go?
Right. It's been a 2-year building project. Apparently, there really is something to supply chain issues. Who knew? Who knew? We were actually supposed to be in this facility a year ago, but it was a 2-year process. So we're on 8 acres right now. We're 3 miles from Paradise, Missouri.
Literally.
We're as close to Paradise as you can get.
Yes, which I am not complaining about because
I know
I
it's
have
great.
to go right past Paradise on the way home.
Smithville,
so
Missouri is just a beautiful place, and
Yeah.
we have 8 acres here. And here we house a team of 20 right now. We'll have about 25 at the point that we cap our full-time staff.
Okay.
And that's, for the readlion.com writing staff. By the way, I don't know if you've heard, but The Lion, our online news source to talk about what's going on in Christian education.
Yes.
Within the month, we were informed that the Evangelical Press Association has dubbed us the 3rd best Christian news site on the internet.
That's amazing.
Isn't that great?
On the internet.
I know it.
The whole internet.
The whole internet.
That's
well,
impressive.
so the fun thing was, so I was talking to the Lion staff, and I said, really, 3rd place? Is that what we're shooting for? Is that come a step up your game?
Moving on up.
Yeah, so they were really
That's
motivated
big
by
stuff
that.
for a brand new publication.
We
That's really
started
big.
we sent our first article out, pushed our first article in August of 21.
Wow.
So, to be now November and recognizing
That's
the top
amazing.
3 is
So
pretty
for
incredible.
people that are new to this show or just happening across this
Sure.
one and didn't hear the previous conversation, can you talk just generally, give me an overview of the Herzog Foundation and what this building is? Why was it built?
Yeah, I would tell you advanced Christian education was Mr. Herzog's advanced directive to advance Christian education. So everything from homeschool and homeschool co-ops to 5-day-a-week traditional or classical schools and everything in between. Hybrid schools are really all across the nation becoming a real thing.
Right.
Micro schools, almost, like Laura Ingalls standing at the front of the class teaching 20 students of varying grade levels is real in 2022.
We have upcoming actually in a few weeks. We have a woman coming on out of state, but she is going to be speaking about that concept. And we have homeschooling conversations coming up over the next few weeks. I mean, it's the way to expand has just been amazing.
It's
so we
true.
Love what Herzog
You
is
travel a lot, and we've traveled with you a few times for different rallies in various states. This is not just while this is a Missouri-based foundation, your hope is to become a national.
Absolutely. Advanced Christian education, K through 12, across the country. So
in whatever format that looks like.
That's exactly right. Stan's directive was kindergarten through 12th grade across the country, Christian education, advance it.
And we saw it when we went to D.C. a few weeks ago for the Christian Education Awards.
Was that a
teachers
great?
from all over the country.
And you all did a great job
It
with that. It was wonderful.
That was the first time that I saw and even in that awards ceremony, what we've tried to stress on the show is, even in the Christian education space, there are wildly different, divergent ways to do it.
It's true.
There is no one size fits all.
Doesn't fit all. 20 years ago, Christian school, they all looked alike. It was like they all came out of a vat.
Like cookie
and
cutter,
here's your Christian school, But in 2022, not the case at all. A lot of variety and a lot of different ways to do it. And in different states, necessarily doing it in different ways. Education, what I've learned is education law is state specific. So the laws in Massachusetts are different than the laws in Missouri, different than the laws. They may be the same, but not necessarily. In Massachusetts, if the 3 of us decide we want to start a Christian school, we can, after we get permission from the local school district.
Oh.
Wow. Well, that seems a little...
You can start a Chick-fil-A if
tricky.
McDonald's signs off on it.
That doesn't seem like...
That seems a little
together.
bizarre, doesn't it? So it's all state specific. And so how you work with the different state regulations to advance Christian education, it can't be one size fits all.
No.
So here's something that I think we talked about when we were talking about the development of this building. I loved this. In not just this facility, but behind this facility.
Yes, this is my favorite, I think.
When people travel here to train how to fundraise, how to develop, how to administer Christian schools, they also can stay here on premises.
That's exactly right. And to a degree, we are in the process now of trying to even make that better for them when they come.
Wow.
When you come here, the 3 lanes of the foundation are encourage parents, Christian parents, to understand the reality of what Stan would call the government schools, what's going on in the government schools, and the contrast that Christian education really is. So that's one lane that we're driving in, and that's where the lion comes in. The second lane would be helping 20,000 Christian schools be better. And our whole leadership development series is that, where we're focused on trainings. I mean, it's basically a master's in business administration for church leaders. Church school, Christian school leaders. In fact, Regent University, I got an email from them again today. They're looking at our leadership development series, and they're going to develop a master's in education with an emphasis on Christian school management around the Herzog Foundation Leadership Development Series. Is that crazy?
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Incredible.
So that's the second lane. The third lane then would be, how do we start more Christian schools across the country using different models and different templates to be able to make that
For people
happen.
listening in, this foundation is maybe best suited for people who are in the space of a Christian school, either starting one or thinking about starting one. Is that the most accurate way to frame it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Specifically looking at the leadership, the heads of school, the principals, those people in administration and their boards. And, you know, what we found is a lot of Christian education is the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
If there's really not a network that you're a part of, then each one does what is right in their own eyes, and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so as we've stepped in really to try and do what others aren't doing, we found that there are a half dozen issues where typically Christian school leadership really feels under-equipped.
Okay.
And so we've tried to pour into those areas in practical ways, not a lot of philosophy and theory, but real practical ways how they can move the needle.
So let me give you a real practical, real-life example. Our daughter is in a private Christian school. And you're in the middle of trying to help raise funds to expand and grow that private Christian school. Now, the Herzog Foundation would be a resource to teach a private Christian school perhaps how to drive a capital campaign to expand and grow.
That is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Most people, most heads of schools didn't become the head of school so that they could become the primary donor development
No, and in
person.
fact, the person heading up the campaign, one of them very specifically said he would, work within it as long as he did not have to fundraise.
Absolutely. That's
And
exactly.
here we are.
Yeah, typically.
It's hard then.
And
Oh,
he's
my
so good
goodness.
at it, but he's so good at it. But
so
there's
what
so
we do
much
is
to
we
know.
contract then with experts. We're not the experts, but we can convene the
Facilitators.
experts. Right. And so we bring in, I mean, the coaches who lead donor development have literally raised millions for Christian education and capital campaigns and operation. And they come in, and in 3 days, you walk away with a plan that really is proven and works. And we do the same thing with, marketing and enrollment. How do you tell your community what you're about, what you're doing? And
because it's fine if 5 or 6 people come together and start a school, but ideally you want it to grow and you want it to flourish and you want to build out and you want to hire.
But as we've seen with all of that growth, there is a lot to learn within
That's
that
exactly
realm.
right.
And then obviously that brings a lot of new challenges.
Exactly.
down
And,
the pipe.
when I first came on, the first 3 to 6 months, it was really talking to seasoned, long-term heads of school and just asking questions. Where did you feel ill-prepared? And I heard 8 to 10 different areas and a half dozen that were repeated. And that's where we zoned in and said, then how do we fix this?
So you're wrapping up, I was online. I'm always watching just to kind of see what's coming up next at Herzog, what's happening. So you've just wrapped up a super busy week.
Yeah,
here,
absolutely.
We're
Today,
in a new room. You've got new things going on. You've got so this week I think is a great example of what just happened here this week. If you can share a little bit about who's been in and out this week.
The grand opening happened not too terribly long ago, and you immediately started hosting.
Hey,
events.
the meter's running. Chop, chop. Let's go. Stan's watching.
We've got a rally we're going to talk about later, but
absolutely.
It is, right?
That's it. We're not letting a lot of grass grow under our feet.
You're not.
You referenced it. We just moved into the building, but today we're wrapping up I believe it's our 18th boot camp. We've had over 650 different educators go through our leadership development series, and we just moved into our building.
And you just
and so there's work to be done.
Heretofore, you've been doing them in
elsewhere.
Oh my goodness! Right, we have the Chick-fil-A training headquarters in Atlanta.
Wow.
They said, "Hey, we love what you're doing. Why don't you do one here?" The Museum of the Bible. We have a great partnership. The Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum in Cincinnati. They love us. We did one at the Reagan Library.
Benefit. Like, what a great benefit that if you couldn't be in the building,
yeah, for sure,
you're doing something.
In 2023, we will do 50 of these trainings in 2023
in this building.
Well, we'll do probably 30, 2/3 of them here.
Because you do still want to travel and get out some.
We have these relationships that we want to continue to foster.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon University in January.
Oh, wow.
Not a bad time to be in Phoenix.
Not a bad time.
Not a bad time to be in Phoenix.
In
fact, I think you guys.
I was going to say, do you need podcast hosts?
We need an MC.
All right.
I think that's lovely.
My schedule's clear, I think.
That's beautiful. You're a giver. I love that about you, Chris.
I'll do my part.
Well, what a cool, this week is amazing.
It's amazing, right? So the first part, we started the first part of the week with a board boot camp. We call them boot camps. People say, is that a marketing thing? Well, when a new military recruit signs up and needs to be oriented on how do I advance the mission, they don't really go to conference and fill out workbooks.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
They go to boot camps, and it's early mornings and long nights, and the reality is your participation is required. Well, these are boot camps, and it's early mornings and late nights, and your participation is required. Right. It's a lot of lecture lab. We're going to talk about this. Now, how do you implement it in your school?
You're also probably instantly networked, I would guess, with others.
Yes, that's exactly right. And we intentionally try to network so that when you go back, when I came out of pastoral work, I had a network, and I had folks across the country you could call and say, are you wearing masks?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You've got 3 services. How did you implement 3 services?
Right.
In the Christian school world, that's not necessarily the case. And so one of the things we really try to do is network a cohort so that when you go back to wherever, you can make a phone call and say, hey, do you guys have a high school? How did you implement a high school?
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. So we're excited to be here. Studios are here to, for content, to push content. Certainly, the Making the Leap. And we've got a number of other podcasts that are on our sites.
Morning Routine.
We're getting great feedback there as well. But we've got a number of others that we're really excited about putting online and making available. And so we've got the facility here where we can do that.
Yeah.
We'll do 30 trainings this next year. We're producing the number 3 ranked Christian news magazine in the country here.
That's amazing.
It's very exciting. And so the cabins that you had referenced are a place, honestly, where we would bring the hosts, the coaches. You're right here on campus, but we're in the process now of looking at building what we'll call the Herzog Foundation Education Center on another 8 acres that butt up against this, where we'll literally build dormitories, breakout rooms. Wow. It's going to be an incredible facility. So when you come from wherever to one of our boot camps for 3 days, again, you get to our facility and we cover all the expenses from there.
I think that's one of the most unique aspects of what you do, that you do cover that cost for people, because it is, to be honest, when you're talking about a lot of people in Christian education, the salaries are not comparable to what public school teachers are making.
Spending money on flights, on hotel, food. You guys have a kitchen here, I think. You're prepared to bring food in.
Exactly. We'll cover that. We'll cover your lodging, we'll cover your food, and we'll bring in the experts on our dime. We'll come up with the venue on our dime.
It's just a generosity that is not matched. I don't know of another organization that does that.
It is very,
in a way
I appreciate you saying that. It is very unique. And the board has been really laser focused that they want every dollar that we spend to influence multiple schools and not just one.
Right.
So a lot, we get a lot of requests for grants. We do some grant writing, but really it's based on, have we spent what we need to spend this year? And if we haven't, then the IRS says it's important that we fulfill this obligation, and so we'll grant write. But honestly, the preferred mode of the board is we want to help you as a school to be solvent, sustainable, and that's where the boot camps and starting more Christian schools. That's where all that's the preferred mode.
Okay.
Notable that this is so rare nationally. I don't think there's anything quite like the Herzog Foundation. Betsy DeVos said yes to coming here and having a book talk, a great evening conversation and meeting people. I mean,
it was wonderful.
Betsy
The
DeVos
National
was standing
Review.
in Smithville, Missouri. That was
Incredible.
mind-blowing to me.
Well, what if I told
great.
you there's a good likelihood that Mike Pompeo will be
No
here
kidding.
shortly as
Really?
well on a book tour? And Smithville, Missouri
I love it.
is the stopping
I love
point.
it. And what a great location.
Isn't that great?
Awesome.
That is
It
fantastic.
I do.
really
I
is.
think it just
that speaks
it
to
just
the
goes
vision.
show. Yes, that's
Right,
exactly right.
right. Well, so that culture and family and cultures can flourish. That's really the end goal. And Christian education, K through 12, is the mode to reach that goal.
Well, a mental note for more programming. We'll make sure we
There you go.
talk to you about
yes,
that.
Gotta get him
right.
on the show.
Incredible,
Yeah,
right? Have 'em on.
absolutely,
Yeah, we'd love to.
absolutely.
What should people know if they would like to reach out? Is there a schedule? Is it time sensitive? I mean, if people would like to participate or maybe get involved in enrolling and coming
Love
to a
it.
boot camp or something like that.
Great question. HerzogFoundation.com. Go to the events link in the upper right-hand corner, and you can see everything that is booked. And it is always at least 3 months out.
Okay.
Always at least 3 months
So
out.
if there are parents listening, this is something they could introduce their school to, too.
Absolutely, yes. If parents are, check with your school administration. Hey, are you aware of the boot camps at the Herzog Foundation? They are literally, we used to say they're free of charge. Here's what we say. We have done enough of them now to know that it's actually a $2,000 seat per person.
Wow.
Okay, $2,000 seat per person.
Because nothing is really free.
Right, we'll scholarship you that.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's great.
If you apply.
If you apply, right, and
Yeah.
then do obviously
Yeah.
some of that work. Well, I know I mentioned it earlier a little bit, the 1 year mark coming up with the Herzog Tomorrow, the MoScholars
Right.
Foundation. That
We're going to talk with Mayela in a
Yes.
little bit about it.
Oh, she knows. Yeah, she is good.
But
she
I
and
think
Josh.
that'll be a neat event, I think, to have here where it is open.
Coming up
for-
on the 6th.
Yeah, coming up,
Yeah,
right. So it's on
absolutely.
December
That's
6th
right.
up
It's going to be a
here.
great time.
Yes.
Empower the Parents Rally.
Right.
And this is open to the public, I should mention. if people want
Anyone
to come.
in the area could come.
And I know,
if you
yeah,
want to get a
we'll talk
plane
to her.
ticket and come, come on, why not? We'll make more cookies.
No, we can make more
Right?
cookies.
We'll make
right?
more
We've
cookies.
got a bedroom.
I'd love everyone to see this building. It's such an impressive place. I've told you before. I know you knew Stan Herzog. I didn't know anything about Stan's love of Christian education. I knew him only through politics.
Sure.
And I can imagine he would just be elated at what you've built here.
Yeah, it has been exciting to talk to, and I know you've spoken with Jake and Laurel, and to hear their excitement
his kids.
about what, Stan's children, about what we're doing is very, very encouraging.
That was one of the most moving things, I think, was getting to talk. I mean, I did not know Stan. I doubt I ever met him. I don't
Sure.
remember that I did. It was such a long time ago for me. But to meet his kids, knowing
Sure.
what we're trying to do, seeing what our daughter has been doing, and to me, kind of bringing it all full circle, I thought that was wonderful. So I
it's
love that
really
they're
true.
invested as well. They're not just
Right.
out the door to their thing. They're,
Right.
they're
And you
really
left
here.
people, if they didn't hear the show with you before, you left your church. I mean, you pastored a church for a couple of
30,
decades.
Yeah, 35 years.
That was 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was-
Longer.
yeah,
I,
it was-
I didn't. I
And
shorted
then,
you
and
a
then the
decade.
incident, Chris.
Yeah.
No, there was no incident.
It is very hard for a pastor to walk away from a church of that tenure, and it's hard for the congregation to see their pastor leave.
It was
but that's
very,
how important this
it
was.
was very difficult,
you.
the most
Yeah.
difficult decision Tammy and I've made, and a lot of fasting and prayer and crying and talking, but really felt like for such a time as this, to advance Christian education, we bought into the mission, and the congregation was very gracious to release us. and to allow us to follow the Lord.
Your morning routine podcast is a great resource, I think, for people, specifically educators who'd like to wake up and get a nice jolt of their daily bread, if you will.
I
nice
appreciate
devotion,
that.
right?
I
I hope
appreciate that.
people will listen to it.
Yeah,
because
that's kind of you to say.
It's a real work of yours that you put a lot of time and passion into.
Wow.
People can reach out, right, if they want information. The Herzog Foundation is it a I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's a hotline where there's an operator standing by, but I mean,
Sure.
Is this a resource for just a quick call or a question?
Sure, absolutely. And, I think readlion.com, the Lion, the bold voice for Christian education, we're talking about so many things. I mean, they're kicking out 8 to 10 articles every single day.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we're talking, if it's going on in education in the country, we're talking about it or writing about it.
We pull from there all the time.
Right. And I think there's, having that archive is just a tremendous resource. But yeah, as you're talking about how to start Christian schools, we're fed up, we're frustrated. Where do you start? How do you take this passion and, dot the I's and cross the T's? That's where hfschoolbox.com and the School Box will walk you through that process. And then another great resource is we'll partner you with a mentor who's actually running that kind of school somewhere in the country. So if the three of us want to start a school that's 3 days a week classical, we'll pair you up with a mentor who's running that kinds of school.
Wow.
So then, when you're talking about all the questions that need to be asked, you've got somebody riding shotgun in the cockpit who knows the answers and can help coach.
That's tremendous.
And we think that's going to be the secret sauce.
That's tremendous. I just think that's fantastic.
Very exciting.
I do know, and again, I use the website a lot just because of what we're doing. Can you talk a little bit about the essay contest that is
yes.
on when I saw that, I thought of about 7 different people. I'm like, I need to send this
love
on.
it.
I need to send it on because it spoke to me with the content of what it's about. So I
love it. I love it. Can I tell the long story? I used to pastor where I took 2 verses and I had about 35 minutes. So give me a little bit of latitude here.
Absolutely.
I want to talk for just a minute about the direction of our board.
Okay.
The Herzog Foundation board is just a fantastic group of people, and it's why Stan picked them. But the Teacher of the Year, that was the brainchild of one of our board members. Why do we not give out a Teacher of the Year? Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
The whole idea of the Bill of Rights Institute, of the Bill of Rights essay contest, was the brainchild of one of our board members who said, you know what, in December is the anniversary of the Bill of Rights. Why are we not doing something to commemorate that? Let's do an essay. Why can't we do an essay contest? We can do an essay contest.
I like that. Why can't we?
Right, exactly. We can. And so then our directive is, okay, now let's go make this happen. How are we going to do this? I don't know, but we've got the team that can figure it out. So yeah, it's middle school and senior high. Up through December, I think December 2nd,
I think it's coming up
they
close,
can write a 500-word essay on the Bill of Rights and the significance of that document to we the people. And then we'll select not just one, but a number of them based on the number of responses that we get. And so,
I liked it because it was a neat way to reach the kids. We talk so much about the teachers and all the leadership and the administrative piece, and then you've got these kids that are the ones reaping these benefits. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, so I immediately started emailing out.
Well, and when whatever you can do to educate today's students in something as significant as the Bill of Rights, you should.
That civics piece is
exactly.
such a giant piece.
I was telling the team here that one of the things I'm looking forward to doing, hopefully with Making the Leap, is to start talking to some voices coming in from around the country, maybe doing some panel discussions and some specialty
great
shows.
Idea. And you've been doing a great job of that. I mean, you've brought in some heavy hitters. Well, I enjoy your program.
I know
we're glad.
The guest booker is in charge of that, and she's done a great job. But I think I'm eager to hear so many voices from around the country come to this place and collaborate and hear, I really would like to know what their battles are.
Right.
Or, what their successes are too, because I
think there's a lot of conflicts that exist everywhere right now.
And we've talked about this so
much
we've got upcoming shows on homeschooling and
financial pieces.
Sure.
It's interesting in Christian education. There are many different divergent ways to approach it.
That's exactly right.
And I don't want to say they're in conflict. They're not. But, I mean, they definitely have their own opinions of the way they ought to be done.
Right.
So we want to be hospitable to all of them.
Sure.
How do you navigate it?
Well, you're exactly right. To a degree, there are some things that are worth getting into the weeds on and some things that are not worth getting into the weeds on, right?
Always,
so even early on as a foundation, we determined we're advancing Christian education, but does that mean Baptist or Lutheran or independent? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Christian education. If you subscribe to that Jesus is the Lord,
we're in.
We're on the same team.
Yes.
Beyond that, you guys just go ahead and figure that out and make your Christian school exactly what you want it to be.
I love it.
You heard about the two congregations that decided they were going to merge. They were two smaller congregations. They were going to merge, and we think we can be solvent and make this thing go. Everything was good until their very first service together, and that's when they called the whole thing off. One of the pastors said, "Why don't we close our service with the Lord's Prayer?" And that's when it all went south. And one congregation went back to their trespasses, and the other went back to their debts. And so, there are some things that are worth fighting for. And
sadly, a lot of that is ridiculously true in a
Oh,
lot
my
of areas.
goodness.
So I'm glad that we have the teamwork.
So that's
piece
how we
in
navigate
place.
it. When it comes to donor development and strategic plan, we think we can bring the experts in to help any Christian school that's interested. But beyond, and we believe that Christian education needs to be both good education and Christian. But what flavor it takes really is dependent on the local context of the group that's launching the school. And so we respect that.
Well, we have so loved getting to know this team and now be in this space, in this room where great things are happening. You can just feel God moving. We feel so blessed to be a small part of it, Darrell. We thank you so much for your time.
It is great to have you guys. We, again, Tammy and I love hanging out with the Stegals in great places all over the country, and let's do more of it.
We've had some good meals and good visits with great people.
We
so
have.
Looking forward to many more.
Well,
Darrell
keep
Jones.
doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
We believe in you.
Could you pray us out, Pastor?
I would love to. Father, we thank you for what you're doing across the country and what we're experiencing even in this moment, in this room. We know that you're at work in every corner of the fabric of our country. And even as it seems so challenging when we look at the headlines, we recognize again that Christ is still on the throne. Electoral colleges are unable to alter that, and we find great confidence in your presence. And pray that you would continue to use all of our efforts to advance Christian education, but specifically your great name, Lord. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We've talked a little bit about the Herzog Foundation on this show, but what you may not have heard about yet is what we were talking about a little while ago with Darrell called Herzog Tomorrow. Mayela Esser is with us, and she is the point person for Herzog Tomorrow. Specifically, she's the scholarship coordinator for Herzog Tomorrow, and it's great to have you on. Thank you for being here.
What a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
The difference between the Herzog Foundation and Herzog Tomorrow, people are trying to figure out as they hopefully make this leap into private education. I think in Missouri in particular, where we reside, it's specific to a fund in Missouri. I don't know if people are watching from the outside or listening from the outside, what should they know about what you do and the relationship with the Herzog Foundation?
Well, Herzog Tomorrow has had a great opportunity with the state of Missouri to provide scholarships to students, specifically students who want to leave public school and attend private school. And our job at the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation is to provide scholarships for them to attend. And these scholarships are $6,375.
It is specific to Missouri. I want to be clear on that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so what a great opportunity for the state of Missouri to open this up at this time, right?
Yes.
We are in a growth of students and families who want to attend private school, but maybe in the past couldn't afford it. And so these scholarships give us that opportunity. So,
I was talking with a woman who does admissions work for another school in the area, and she said their inquiry level is off the charts daily. Just, one after the other kind of a thing. And the big question behind it is financing. How do we finance it? But behind how does a parent finance it is how does an organization come in through, come and finance that?
We talked with Josh Hurlbert a few episodes ago about MoScholars and how it works and kind of state by state. So you're in charge of the funds, if you will, funds that come into Herzog, and then they're allocated. You kind of people would apply? Are you sort of the reviewer of the applications, or?
Good question. So I'll kind of tell you, Josh is my counterpart. And so he gets to work with families and schools and gets them to apply for the scholarship.
Okay.
I work on the back end to fund those scholarships.
So that the check can be written out.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So the revenue stream is where, and I know we talked a little bit about this in a previous show, but I think people are always interested in this. How does the revenue model work?
Great question. Yeah. So the state of Missouri has allowed these ESA, these empowerment scholarship accounts. And what that allows us to do is to provide family these scholarships. They are funded through tax credits. These tax credits are a dollar for dollar tax credits. So let's use an example. You and I, who live in Missouri, owe Missouri state tax every year.
Right.
So we're going to use the example, you and I owe $10,000 to the state of Missouri.
Okay.
We can either pay the state of Missouri all $10,000. We don't know what they're doing with that dollars, right?
Right.
Or with this tax credit, you can redirect 50% of what you owe the state of Missouri. So that's $5,000 towards these MoScholars scholarships. That $5,000 is going to a family who wants to attend private Christian school that didn't have that opportunity before. And we can do that with our tax dollars. Isn't that awesome?
That's
I think that's
tremendous.
Just amazing.
So
So 50% of your tax obligation to the state of Missouri can be rerouted to the Herzog Foundation
yes.
to then grant as a scholarship to kids who'd like to go to private Christian school.
Yep. That's what we're doing. What
Super
a great
easy. I mean,
Yeah,
in
I know.
concept for the taxpayer, that's really easy. That's not complicated at all.
And a business can do this
Yes.
same as an individual
Yes.
or a family.
How does
which I
one
think
do?
is
Do you have
amazing.
to reach out to you specifically? Does your accountant know how to do that, or how does that work?
Well, a little of both. So we are spreading the word, and it's really just a network right now, but we are working with CPAs right now, financial planners.
Great.
They would
Okay.
be great resources, but our website is donate.herzogfoundation.com.
Okay.
And so we really just want families to be aware of the program and to really get in the know of how to do it. But
And you don't, and I would assume, by the way, it doesn't necessarily have to be just a tax obligation thing. If somebody just wanted to be charitable and decide
Yes.
to give, they can do that too, right?
yeah, we are a 501c3, which makes us separate from the Herzog Foundation, which is a private foundation. We are a 501c3 foundation. Herzog Tomorrow is.
I
So
see.
that's how that works.
Wow. I love the concept, and it's one that I hope that it'll, we talk about different states and the kind of the programs they're doing. This is, I think, one of the more creative ones. What could you envision down the road as it growing into? Do you, or do you have thoughts about what it might? I know legislatively it probably is a discussion maybe you don't want to tackle, but could this get bigger, go further? Where do you see it going?
Well, I think Josh probably kind of talked about this a little bit, but as we grow the program, we'd like to increase the number of families that can participate, remove restrictions like location. We would like to grow the program so that you and I can direct what our dollars, where they're going to, what specific school. But that's later down the road. We're looking at Arizona or Florida who already have that ability.
Okay.
So really more power to us.
So that's a good question though, because if, and I'm sure we'll get asked it, if somebody wants to donate and, take half that $10,000 cost, for example, and send it on, at this point, they cannot direct, I want it in this area, or I want it to this school, or, if, at this point, it is a general pot.
Right.
In which we're dipping, pulling from, that kind of a thing.
And then the
That's hard to know.
foundation allocates the funds.
It.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And
Right.
that's on the other end.
If people have more questions, can they reach out to you or
Yes.
the
Yep,
foundation
they can.
generally?
You can reach out to me. It's donate@herzogtomorrowfoundation.com.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
my easy email address, or my phone number is 816-601-3379. Happy to talk about that. But we're really excited about our rally because we're going to
Yes.
celebrate our first year. Can I share a little bit
Yes,
about that?
absolutely.
Okay.
Please do.
So we are hosting our first rally here at the Herzog Foundation. For MoScholars, celebrating
We're
our
looking
great
forward to.
first
Yes.
year. So a little bit about us, Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. We've awarded 400 scholarships, $2.5 million out the
I
door.
don't think I knew it was that many
Yeah.
already.
So that's just
amazing.
us. I mean, there's other organizations,
Right.
but
and
we're
that's 1 year.
yeah, just
1 year.
yeah, just actually a few
Love
months.
it.
But we're celebrating. We're bringing state representatives in town. We're bringing other speakers, Patrick Ishmael from the Show Me Institute, Danny Margart, who is the head administrator at St. Joe Christian, and other leaders in the community who are supporters of this program. So we're excited.
I can't wait to be there and just celebrate with you. I just think it's been a godsend for us. I think we are not recipients of any scholarship, but just having our daughter in a Christian school has been tremendous. Yeah. And I do know families that are receiving the funds, and to get those emails and to get those messages that just say we could not do this without that, and we're so glad for Herzog and we're so grateful to be a part of it, has been wonderful. So I'm thrilled that we get to be part of that 1 year.
And people can register. It's a public event.
It is.
For people that are in the area, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You can find us on Facebook, but it's the Missouri Education Freedom Rally, December 6th at 5 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
Kind of doing an open house from 5 to 6, and then the rally's really at 6.
Okay,
wonderful. But it is open to supporters and friends and families of this program.
And so this would be a great opportunity then for somebody who is maybe sort of on the fence about donating, or sort of on the fence about maybe even applying, or thinking about this would be a great place to hear the information, hear the background, hear what
or
it's
you're
all
a
about.
Listener of this podcast and you've always wanted to see what those people look like in person. Come in and stare at us like zoo animals. You'll be there too, right?
Yes, I'll be there. I'll be happy to connect with you all. I'm really excited about hosting, or we all are excited about it. So
it'll be great.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
Can't wait
We
to see you on the
appreciate
6th.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you all.
What a great couple of people to be talking to today. I just think it's been a nice, I don't know, just a nice way to kick off being here in the studio, talk to what's happening with Herzog.
Yeah, I wish everybody listening could see the building. It's a beautiful place, and maybe someday you can come visit. It's really special to be here, and it's amazing, frankly, that when we started this podcast, the whole reason that we're even here doing the show is because we decided to make the leap into Christian education with our own daughter, and to be able to tell the story and then partner with the Herzog Foundation and see their growth alongside them. It's really special. It's while we're here, we're also sort of watching it. I mean, they've been great and kind of taking us in.
Right.
I feel like we're sort of their shelter pets. They've been nice enough to let us into their organization here, but it's remarkable. I mean, you just feel God's hand in it all the time.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. I love being a part of it because I know that there is a much bigger force moving, and I'm grateful to be along with it.
We've met amazing parents. We've met amazing teachers. People committed to this, growing this endeavor. It's really been special, and we're just getting started. We've got a whole nother year ahead at least of we think traveling and speaking to other parents.
And I'd like just to be at that rally in a couple of weeks is going to be an amazing. I just think being able to be a part of those and witness what parents are seeing, how money is working, how God's hand is in it. You just can't beat that opportunity.
Yeah, I hope that people take, again, from this podcast, ideas about how to make it work. Not instead of all the reasons that it can't work or you should be discouraged. I hope all of these shows in some way help people see that it can work and that there are resources more than ever before to help.
Which is phenomenal because we're combating a lot. There's just a lot. We talk about a lot of it, and I really love the positivity of what today was. And I thought it was perfect timing because earlier this week, and I don't know if you saw it, earlier, I believe on Sunday this past week, the NEA put out a tweet and they said, educators love their students and know better than anyone what they need to learn and to thrive. Huh. And if there is ever something, I mean, that I was fired up. I still am.
What did it say? Educators
love their students and know better than anyone what they need to learn and to thrive.
Better than anyone.
Better than anyone. I have no doubt there are teachers that love their kids. I have no doubt there are teachers that are in it for the right reasons.
Well, there's also that possessive thing that I think irritates a lot of people. I understand. I think the tone, but they are kids. They're not really.
But they're not right.
Yeah.
But for the NEA to go ahead and say, to lay it out, and that's what their belief is, that they know best. But we get to sit here in a position, speaking to empower parents, and empower educators in the Christian education realm, that rather than saying this is the only piece that knows best, this is the only way it's going to work, that no, there are options, and we put the power back into the parents' hands, that we are the ones that know really what is best, and come alongside the teachers and have the pastors come alongside us. So we have that triangle piece of that kingdom education. I just think it was a key when I saw that, and I thought, and I knew what was coming with our podcast. I just thought that was a great thing.
The Washington Examiner, excuse me, has they have a piece today as we record this about the elections. Education freedom was a big winner in Tuesday's election, and setting aside people who won and people who lost, the Washington Examiner said the victories were big when it came to education. In South Carolina, school choice advocate Ellen Weaver was successfully elected as the superintendent of education on an education freedom platform. The school choice wave wasn't limited to states' rural voters either. In Charleston, candidates backed the pro-choice school choice organization Moms for Liberty. They secured a major victory on their local school board. The groups endorsed candidates also won several Florida school board races. Their victories across the country are being tallied up. Meanwhile, all 6 of Governor Ron DeSantis' endorsed school board members won their races, and that's just the beginning of the successes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and this goes on. I'd encourage you to read it. I won't read it all to you here, but anyway, the headline, it's dated November 13th at the Washington Examiner. Education freedom was a big winner in Tuesday's election. So whatever you thought of the elections on Tuesday night, and I certainly have my thoughts on that, it is good to know that education is still front and center and top of mind as we start talking about local elections. And, no matter these federal, we get so caught up in who's controlling the House and who's controlling the Senate. We must never lose sight of who's running our school board in our backyards. They matter more, and they have greater impact than anything we're electing to Washington,
something
D.C.
like the NEA. I mean, there are local chapters, there's local affiliates. Those knowing who is funding all those mailers that are coming to your house, as we get ramped up. And you're right, that is ongoing. I think that's something to keep in mind.
So send us your thoughts. If you ever have questions about the Herzog Foundation or anything we're doing here, or you have maybe potential guests in mind that you think might be great for this show, we'd always love to hear from you, and we often do.
So you can reach us. You can send an email at hello@makingtheleappodcast.com. You can reach us on Instagram and Facebook at Making the Leap Podcast. And you can get us on Twitter at making_the_leap. And that is always the easiest way to find us.
Don't forget the 5 stars. 5 stars.
Yes, we almost didn't say it today.
Cheap plug, because when you give us 5 stars at Spotify or Apple iTunes, maybe even leave a written comment if you're so inclined. That helps the algorithm out there, helps us stay front and center. And I hope you'll always share it if you think this is an interesting podcast for Christian school leaders, teachers, parents who are thinking about transitioning into private school, homeschool, Christian school. We think this is a great podcast to help. So with that, we will see you next week.
Making the Leap is a podcast presentation courtesy of the Herzog Foundation. Please rate and comment on the show, as well as subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we'll see you next time on Making the Leap.